Hi, my name is Akia Stewart, and today we'll be talking about social anxiety. There was a time when I had to do a presentation for my anatomy class. As someone who was very shy, nervous around people, and didn't talk much, I was afraid of what people might think. When it was my turn to present and I got in front of the class, I had a glimpse of everyone and froze. I tried to continue my presentation, but the words were barely coming out, and I was talking very low. My palms were sweating and I was fidgeting with my hands a lot. Didn't know the material because I kept forgetting the words. My heart was beating really fast and I could not catch my breath. When I finished and sat down, I felt like I was gonna pass out. I didn't know at the time, but these were symptoms of social anxiety. 15 million American adults have social anxiety and 75% experience the first symptoms during childhood and early teenage years. Today, we will be learning about social anxiety. We'll be learning about what it is, its symptoms, and its treatments. So, first, we'll be talking about what social anxiety is. The Mayo Clinic described social anxiety, which is also called social phobia, as a fear and anxiety that's brought upon through everyday situations. It makes you feel self-conscious and you have a fear of being judged negatively. A medical writer, Dr. Shazia Alakara, talked about 6 different types of anxiety disorders. The first one is generalized anxiety disorder. It's basically the being anxious in relaxed situations and it's hard for you to concentrate. The next is panic disorders. This is when you have panic or anxiety attacks that are associated with rapid heartbeat. The next one is separation anxiety, which is basically the fear of being alone. Another one is trauma IQ, which is experience with trauma or tragedy. The fifth one is phobia, which is fears about a specific situation. And then the one I'll be talking about is social anxiety, which is feeling of self-conscious in everyday situations. Now that we talked about what it is, we will be talking about its symptoms. There are physical and mental symptoms. The Anxiety and Depression Association of America exercised some physical symptoms as being sweating, blushing, abdominal pain, rapid heartbeat, shortness of breath, dizziness, and loss of self-control. Courtney Teloian, a writer for Psych Central, talked about some mental symptoms. She talked about intrusive thoughts about social settings, feeling lonely or isolated, having low self-esteem, having fear, stress, or panic in social settings. The WebMD talked about some of the areas where this can occur. They talked about talking to strangers, speaking in public, entering rooms, and a few others. Now that we talked about the symptoms, let's talk about the treatments. Social Anxiety Institute, a psychologist named Thomas Richard, talks about one main treatment, which is cognitive behavioral therapy. It's the most recommended and it is successful and it has been successful. And WebMD has a page called Signs of Social Anxiety, which also talks about cognitive behavioral therapy being a good one. It also talks about attending support groups. There is a big chance of unbiased opinions due to the fact that most of the people there are dealing with the same thing. They also talk about medications, which is antidepressants, something that changes balance of mood changing, and then there's meta blockers that block adrenaline from affecting you. Today we talked about social anxiety. We talked about its symptoms, what it is, and its treatment. 15 million Americans have social anxiety, and 75% of them experience their first symptoms during childhood or early teenage years. Going back to my story, as someone who was very shy, didn't talk much, couldn't start conversations, was always very anxious and afraid to speak out to people. I didn't know that it was social anxiety. I dealt with these symptoms for about 6 or 7 years before I went to a counselor and was diagnosed with social anxiety. Hopefully, my story and the information I gave was enough to help you notice if you have it or if someone you know has it, and it helps give you the opportunity to take treatment so it doesn't affect your life like it affects mine. Thank you.